Max Scherzer and Corbin Burnes are going in different directions. Let's discuss on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. As always, make sure to follow and stream us on Spotify. Today is September 20th, Tuesday, by the way. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Scott White, and let's take a look at these two. Max Scherzer makes his return, 6 perfect innings at the Milwaukee Brewers, where he had 9 strikeouts with 15 swinging strikes on 68 pitches. Obviously, the Mets playing a little bit cautious there with Max Scherzer, but he was fantastic. Corbin Burnes was not. He was hit hard once again. He gave up 5 runs over 5 2/3 innings pitched. Now has a 4.69 ERA in 12 second half starts. Scott, what do you think? Scherzer, Burnes, SP1 next year? What are we doing?
SP1 next year. Is that where we're going with this?
Yeah.
Because I think they'll be both in the discussion. I think there'll probably be 6 pitchers in the discussion for number 1 SP next year, which is why I'm probably not going to be drafting the number 1 SP next year, because I don't think there's a clear standout like we've seen in recent years. As for what's going on with Burnes right now, I don't see a lot to be concerned about. I mean, yeah, in his past 7 starts, he has a 5.62 ERA, 127 WHIP, 9.1 K per 9, and that's even with an awesome 8-inning, 14 strikeout effort in there. Burnes has still struggled to that extent. So I understand the reason for the concern, but I don't see a lot of causes for these struggles. The velocity is fine. The whiff rate still looks good. He's blaming pitch selection, like he's not doing a good job of putting hitters away once he sets them up. And in this most recent start, a 3-run homer to Pete Alonso did most of the damage. But he doesn't sound concerned about the stuff either. So good enough matchups the rest of the way that I think you just ride it out with Burnes through thick and thin and hope he rights the ship with enough time to still be of assistance for you. Final week of the season. So his next matchup is against the Reds. That's this week. And then next week, Corbin Burnes gets the Marlins and the Diamondbacks. So favorable matchups there.
Absolutely. Looking at the season-long numbers for Corbin Burnes, something that stands out quite a bit is just the home run rate. So last year, Cy Young season, 0.38 home runs per 9. This year, he is at 1.12 home runs per 9. So that is a pretty drastic jump year over year. The home run to fly ball ratio has also more than doubled year over year. So it seems like might be a problem for Corbin Burnes. Rank these corner infielders, Scott, something we did on yesterday's podcast, but there's a lot of them that have been emerging recently. Eduardo Escobar went 2 for 3 with a walk and a double. He's looked great since returning from the IL. Joey Meneses, I know he's got some tough matchups coming up, but was great as well. Once again on Monday, he went 4 for 4 with his first steal of the season. Michael Toglia had two triples in this game, also picked up his first career stolen base. And Carlos Santana was one of your sleeper hitters, Scott. He had a double dong, including a grand slam. He has multiple homers in three times in his last 8 games. How do you rank these 4? Escobar, Meneses, Toglia, and Carlos Santana.
I'll give Meneses the slight edge over Escobar rest of season. The matchups are tough for Meneses, and it makes him hard to recommend for that reason. And yet he just keeps getting it done. 4-hit game with Kyle Wright on the mound for the Braves. So still doing great. Escobar's matchups are also pretty tough down the stretch. So that's part of the reason I prefer Meneses. Unless, of course, you need a third baseman. Obviously, Meneses can't do that for you. And then final 2, look, Toglia, I think he's a pretty good play, a lot of power when he's at Coors Field, which he is for the rest of this week. But if you're already locked in for this week, I don't think there's any reason to bother with Toglia because it's the final week of the season. They're not going to be at Coors. So I'll put Santana over him. And so, again, that's Joey Meneses, then Eduardo Escobar, Carlos Santana, and Michael Toglia.
Lastly, does this matter at all? Tyler Alexander took a no-hitter into the 7th inning at the Orioles, and he wound up with 7 shutout, 2 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. But even with this outing, he has a 4.91 ERA Doesn't matter.
No, and he entered in his previous 4 starts a combined 19 earned runs. So he had shown nothing leading up to this start. And even as successful as it was, 4 strikeouts in 7 innings, only 5 swinging strikes. I don't think there's anything here with Tyler Alexander.
Yeah, I think more than anything, the Orioles lineup is just slowing down a bit recently. So would not be scared of them if your pitcher is facing them down the stretch. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye!